Hello, Tigers. Today we are going to review what we call our Bobcat press. And if you recall, Bobcat press is our man-to-man full court pressure. So looking at the screen, what you'll see here is we have an opposing team represented by these blue bubbles, and they're inbounding the ball underneath their own basket, trying to get the ball across half court this way. So the first thing we need to remember about Bobcat is who is your man, and we're going to line up over him. So we'll have one person who's lining up directly over the ball. We will have another person who is going to be playing in between the ball and their man here. We have someone else who is playing in between their man here. And then again, we're playing in between the man here and in between the man here. So something to remember here, right, is we're going to go full face guard mode when they are inbounding the ball on Bobcat. And that means, we're looking at their belly. We can have our whole back turned to the ball, and that's okay. We don't need to see ball, and we don't need to see man when they're making the inbound pass, as we would when we're playing normal man-to-man defense. This way, if this person makes a cut here and goes out here, we're denying them, we're fronting it, we're making it very difficult for them to get the ball in bounds. So the concept here on Bobcat's fairly simple, but let's talk about a few things. And the first thing I want to talk about is alignment. Because one common thing that you see in Bobcat is you'll have someone come from the other side of the court and they'll sprint over to try to get to the ball. And we need to be prepared and thinking about which way they're going. So let's pretend like we've got a guy lined up here. If I'm this man, I want to be lined up on the side of the body that's closest to the basketball. Because if they were to go from the basketball and I'm following them and I'm on this inside, I've got plenty of time to recover and steal this pass before he can get to that spot. However, if the person cuts to the ball and they get a step on me and I'm trailing, it's much easier to make this pass without me as the defender having a chance to catch up. So what we're going to do on the alignment is we want to line up shading the half of their body that's closest to the ball. So here it might be a lighter shade since I'm so close like this. Here I'm over here, right? And I'm shading. Good. So that's step one, is alignment. Now let's pretend, for example, that they're taking the ball out on the sideline and think about alignment. What I certainly don't want to happen if I'm guarding them here, let's say that they're lining up in like one of these stack formations, right? We'd be lining up in front. What we don't want to be able to allow them to do is have someone just break like this for a long pass and a layup. So what we're going to do here is, again, everyone's lined up. Everyone's lined up on the side of the person that is closest to their hoop, so they have to break away from the ball. And while we'll try to deny it, we certainly don't want to get beat this way. And if they get the ball in, that's okay. Because now once they do get the ball in, let's say they get the ball in here. Now what we're going to do is play a kind of more traditional defense where we do need to see ball and we do need to see man. So that's an important transition point that we have to be aware of, is once the ball gets in bounds, we need to see ball and we need to see man. Well, just on the inbounds pass, we're face guarding. So once that ball is in bounds, right, we've got eyes here. This person sees ball and sees man. As this person's running down the court, right, you would be in a position where you can see both ball and see man. Same thing, and then what we're going to do is just make them change directions as many times as we possibly can and make them work. And we have the athletes on our team to really make a lot of teams struggle to get the ball off the court. Up the court. Once they cross half court, and remember, we're not trapping here, we don't want to leave people open. Once they get the ball across half court, we're in a normal man-to-man defense. which, if you'll recall, right, we're going to play further into the passing lane. We see ball, we see man, we have our pistols out as this person comes into the stance, right, where everyone's playing a position that allows them to guard the ball. Other thing we should be aware of, let's pretend that we're back here and we've got someone on our team who is playing pressure defense, and that forces this person to pick up the basketball and they no longer have their dribble. What are we doing at that point? We immediately get back into denying the passing lane. We do not want them to let them get that pass off. Just like when we started the play, we're face guarding, we're getting our full hand in front, we're not letting them get the ball. So some of the advantages of this press is that no one is ever left open if it's run correctly. You know, the disadvantage is that if we're not playing great individual defense, if someone's getting burned by the person that they're guarding, then that's gonna ruin the press pretty quickly. So this relies on the full team working together and being great individual defenders down in stances, shuffling, not getting beat. If we do get beat, if we do get beat off the dribble, for example, we're turning our hips and we're cutting them off. And so maybe that's a point that I'll make too while we have this video time, is let's pretend that someone gets the ball. They're here and they beat us. What we should be thinking when we get beat is this is a full-on sprint to pass the person so that we can cut them off and we force them to, and we get back into our lane, right? So it's very important that if you get beat, you immediately turn, sprint, and cut off your person before they get there. We're relying on the fact that usually we have more overall team speed than the team that we're playing against. And if we do get beat too, someone can come and help slow them down. But again, since it's man-to-man, that's going to leave someone else open. And so we really want to make sure that we're staying in front of our guy. And if we miss, we've got to recover as quickly as possible. So that is our Bobcat. So let's just review it one more time so that everything syncs. All right, we've got the ball in here, taking it in bounds. That defender is going to play over the top. We've got someone else, and I'll line them up even differently this time. You get all sorts of alignments when teams are trying to break presses, and I'll put them in 4 out, and here we would be here, we would be here, we would be here, we would be here. And so, like we said, ball's over there, so we're going to align over this side of the body. I'm even further this way. I'm going to align all the way over. I'm going to align quite a bit over here, and that way it gives me some room in case this person cuts across. Slightly here. Probably slightly here. Now the other thing we're going to do, let's pretend that they pass the ball in here. Your back's to the person passing in, and so how do we know that the ball's coming? Well, we're looking at is the defender's eyes. If those eyes go up like they're seeing the ball in the air, we've got to turn around and locate it, just like a defensive back in football would, right? If you ever watch football, when the receivers go deep, once the ball's in the air, the defensive back is running with them, they're looking at their eyes, and then once they see that head turn or those eyes come around, they're also turning their head so they can make a play on the ball. And that's what we need to do on this defense too. So let's pretend that they're able to, maybe they set a screen here, this person comes around and they get the ball. Now we're in full defense mode, seeing ball and seeing man. So speaking of screens, if they do make a screen, one of your options too is, let's pretend there's a screen right here. If you're talking to each other, you can say switch, switch, switch. That way if this person comes off, you're right there waiting for him and the other person's here too. So that needs to be communicated and the other person needs to hear it for it to happen. So good, that's our Bobcat, full court man-to-man, denying the ball when it comes in bounds. Once the ball does come in bounds, we are now seeing ball and seeing man. Very important that we have proper alignment at the beginning of the play, like we just said, and also that we are good individual defenders that are staying in front, and when we do get beat, we turn our hips, we turn and we sprint to a spot that cuts off the defender. So we're going past the defender at an angle, we're not running behind the defender. Or sorry, the offensive player. We're running at an angle to cut them off. And that's it. Thank you.